Good morning, everybody. I am excited to be here today because today we are going to be talking about deep diving into serotonin and how when serotonin becomes depleted, anxiety, worry, panic can become real. Why am I so passionate about this one? Well, guys, I have a daughter who at age 6 was diagnosed with anxiety. We did what most parents did at the time. Went and got her on some meds. And we went from med to med to med. And you know what? At age 15, she came to me and said, Mom, I'm tired of being a doctor's science project. I want to feel normal. Unfortunately, she found her normal in drugs and alcohol. Luckily, 10 years later, she is now clean and doing really well with the help of counseling and amino acids and getting her life together. All right, let me introduce really quickly myself. I am Shelly Jo Wallstrom. I am the amino acid lady and hypnotherapist. I am also the owner of Shelly Jo Hypno Aminos supplements. Today we're going to talk about how serotonin helps you. Last week we talked about GABA, which is the physical feeling when you feel uptight, overstressed, can't calm down, not in your stomach, want to bite somebody's head off feeling. Physically, that is a GABA neurotransmitter. Today we're going to talk about serotonin. Really quickly, what it is in your brains you have chemicals. Your happy, calm, feel-good chemicals. They're called neurotransmitters. They become depleted, then different symptoms happen. And so let's go into what is serotonin, how it works, what happens when it's not working correctly, and what you can do to help raise your serotonin. So what does serotonin do? Well, serotonin is a regulator. It regulates your mood, social behavior. It helps your appetite. It helps with digestion, sleep, memory, sexual desires. It helps with positive look, emotional stability, flexibility, self-control, sense of humor, emotional and mental well-being. So you can see that it has a lot of great things that it does, helping us get through life. Well, the challenging thing is when it becomes depleted, there are different symptoms that occur. First of all, afternoon and evening cravings. Cravings of what? Well, cravings of sweet and starches, tobacco, chocolate, ecstasy, marijuana, alcohol. That's why when you think about it, there's usually what's called happy hour. That happens around 4 to 5 o'clock. And people who crave alcohol or use alcohol to calm them down, a lot of times they like to go to happy hour. And that's because their serotonin has dropped and depleted. And for them, the alcohol is what's helping them get through some of the things like that. Now, the symptoms of low serotonin can be negativity, depression, worry, anxiety, obsessive thoughts, behaviors, low self-esteem, social anxiety, perfectionism, controlling, migraines, irritability, rage, PMS, the dislike of hot weather, panic attacks, phobias, winter blues, fibromyalgia, other chronic pain, because what happens is when you're in a lot of pain for a long period of time, it causes your serotonin to drop, and suicidal thoughts. It also can affect your sleep, and we're going to talk about that next week. So let's go back and talk about the winter blues thing for a moment. What happens is serotonin follows the light. And so most people wake up feeling okay. And by afternoon and evening, if your serotonin is low, that's when you start to feel the anxiety, the worry, the negativity. And what's going on is why it affects winter blues. Well, I live in Utah, and in Utah, it gets really, really cold. So a lot of people don't get outside to get any natural light, and it gets dark really easy. So you don't have a way to raise the serotonin naturally. So it becomes depleted in the winter. That's where winter blues comes in, and that's why it's so hard for a lot of people. Now, with this coronavirus, what happens is here we are just coming out of winter, and now you bring in and add a pandemic. Well, a lot of people's serotonin levels are already depleted. So now you add this worldwide pandemic, and because their serotonin levels have already been depleted, it's causing a lot of high emotions that are really, for some people, are out of control, and for that, it makes me really sad. But that it makes it so that the worry and the anxiety and the panic gets worse. By helping with raise the serotonin, what it can do is just make it so it can lower those symptoms so that we can think a little bit more clearly and at least ride out this wave and do it without the fear of what's going to happen in the future. All right, so back to a couple things that you'll want to be aware of is, first of all, like I said, because it follows the light. Most people are understanding that serotonin is in the gut. So serotonin is created most of it is created in the gut. Well, you also have it in your brain. Now, a lot of people think, well, because I have so much in my gut, it's going to convert into my brain. There are a lot of supplements that you can take that are to help the serotonin in the gut. The challenge is that they're kind of one and of themselves. So the serotonin in the gut does not necessarily help raise the serotonin in your brain. What do I mean by that? Well, it's kind of like our brain is like the White House. What do I mean by that? That's kind of crazy. But so kind of like the White House has its own infrastructure. And we have, as our country, we have an infrastructure to protect the whole country. But the White House has its own infrastructure, its own protection to keep it safe. Well, that is going to go, we're going to go use all resources to protect the White House. Well, it's the same thing with your brain. Your brain has its own infrastructure to keep it safe. And so it's going to do everything it can to keep your brain working, functioning correctly. That's why even though you may have a lot of serotonin in your gut, it doesn't move up into the brain. A lot of times when people feel anxiety, worry, depression, they're going to go to a doctor and get on what's called an SSRI. Now, I'm not a doctor. I don't prescribe. I don't diagnose. I like doctors. I feel like meds are important. So this is not against anybody who's taking any meds to help you. What an SSRI is it's a selective serotonin re-up inhibitor. And its job is to increase the serotonin levels, preventing the serotonin neurotransmitters from reabsorbing the serotonin. It's going to be drugs like Celexa, Lexapro, Prozac, Paxil, Zoloft. Those are the name brand for the SSRIs. Now, the challenge can be this. They can measure serotonin in the bloodstream, but they cannot measure the serotonin in the brain. So research is showing that just because you have serotonin in your bloodstream doesn't mean that it's actually the same levels in your brain, and they're really not even sure if the SSRIs are even being effective in the brain. SSRIs are great, and what it does is it keeps you out of that scary low part, but sometimes it keeps you out of that high part too. So some people who are on an SSRI are just feeling numb. They're just in this numb state. They're not feeling the highs or the lows. So there are different options to help you raise your serotonin. A couple things. First of all, there is exercise. Exercise helps raise your serotonin. Diet, foods that are high in tryptophan, and we're going to be talking about tryptophan more next week, like bananas and turkey or cheese. Those help with raising the serotonin in your body naturally. There's also something called a circadian light. It looks like this. What it is, it's really, really bright. Ooh. You can just set it on your desk. I use this a lot in the wintertime when I'm not getting outside. So tryptophan is what's called a precursor to 5-HTP. Tryptophan is an essential amino acid, meaning your body doesn't create it but needs it. 5-HTP is a non-essential, means your body creates it, but sometimes it doesn't create enough of it. So the way it works, the cycle is 5-HTP turns to serotonin, serotonin turns to melatonin. If your body is not creating enough 5-HTP, then it's also not creating enough serotonin, and the serotonin is not creating enough melatonin, and melatonin is what allows you to sleep. So if you're having a hard time sleeping or staying asleep because of racing thoughts, that could actually be a serotonin issue. And it's something to be aware of. So how can we raise the serotonin levels naturally with supplements? All right. There is one precaution. So when you're taking an SSRI, you just want to be aware of it. You can take supplements to help also raise it. The one thing you don't want to do is stack serotonin. There is a syndrome called serotonin syndrome that happens when you take too many different serotonins or at one time, and it stacks. And I'll let you go in and you can Google serotonin syndrome. Just be aware of it. And also be aware that there are also other supplements you may be taking that have serotonin in them, or helps to raise the serotonin, like St. John's wort, ginseng, kava. There's also some cough medicines that you want to be aware of that also affect the serotonin. Just be aware of that. If you're only taking one serotonin, then you can add 5-HTP. And 5-HTP is in the form that's ready to go and convert right into the serotonin in your brain. So it helps raise it. The thing about taking 5-HTP, and 5-HTP is an amino acid. The great thing about amino acids is your body either creates it or you get it from a source. So it already knows what to do with it. But you take the 5-HTP and it starts to get your brain to fire the way your brain's supposed to. If you need it, you're going to feel a difference in 20 minutes or less. So you don't have to wait a long period of time. And what we want to do is get your brain to start firing the serotonin on its own. So eventually, you're going to be able to come off the 5-HTP or to go on a lower dose. If you're taking an SSRI, one of them, then you're going to want to take your 5-HTP or your tryptophan at least 5 to 6 hours either before or after you take your meds with the doctor. It's a really great idea to talk to your doctor, let them know that you're going to start taking the 5-HTP, which is going to help you. And most doctors are willing just to be aware of that one precaution. Now, I have what's called 5-HTP Positive Mind. And what its job is to help relaxation, reduce anxiety, and help increase mood enhancement. The reason I like my amino acids is because they are created in America Fork. They have strict guidelines. They're vegan, non-GMO, gluten-free, and 100% natural. Remember, not all supplements are the same thing. And so you can start taking this, and you can even give it to your children. So how am I taking these right now? I take 5-HTP myself because I can feel my emotions. I want to keep them under control. keep the anxiety, the panic, the worry under control. So I will take a couple of these in the morning, and I'll take them in the afternoon. I have clients that give it to their children. Now, most of them aren't going to school, but a lot of times they'll give them right before school or before a test or right before something that's going to cause them to struggle with social anxiety or that worry, that panic. Like I said before, you can take it 20 minutes before you need it. And that's a really cool thing. So let's say that every Thursday at 3 o'clock, you have a meeting that you already know that's going to cause you this worry and these feelings of anxiety, depression. You can take the 5-HTP 20 minutes before you already know you've got something that's going to cause that, whatever the symptoms are, so that when you get into that situation, you've already got it in your body. You know, and children now are also being affected because they're home. You know, as parents, we a lot of us are so hooked on getting as much information we can that it's feeding our anxiety and worry. Well, your children are also feeling that, the same thing. You can give 5-HTP to children. It has been tested with children 5 and above. You can just give them a half of a dose. You can even put it in applesauce, or you can put it in like apple juice or orange juice. You just don't want to put your amino acids with food because it's going to attach to the food, and then it takes longer for it. It's going to digest. It's going to take longer for it to work. I had a client who started taking 5-HTP, and she called me the next day and said, you know, I didn't tell you, but I used alcohol for a long time, and I took the 5-HTP, and for the first time, I didn't feel the cravings of the alcohol in the afternoon and evening. That's how powerful it is. So what I want to do today is, I want to end now. You can reach out to me. You can go to my Facebook at hypnoaminos.com. Message me. I'd love to help you. But I'm going to have a flash sale for 24 hours on the 5-HTP, kind of like I did last week with the GABA. One bottle is $24.99. There's 120 capsules in here. So buy one, get one 50% off. If you go to my website, hypnoaminos.com, click on Shop Aminos, you're going to find them there. You're going to put in the code FB5HTP. So it stands for Facebook 5HTP, but FB5HTP. For 24 hours, you can get this for buy one, get one 50% off. I can mail them to you. If you'd like to reach out to me and have a personal consultation on how amino acids can help you, there's also a link on that on my website page. There's also a quiz. So if you click on hypnoaminos.com, there's a little quiz. It's simple. You take it, it'll let you know whether amino acids could be your answer. And I'd love to work with you. Normally I charge $49 for a 30 to 40 minute consultation. During this coronavirus, I dropped it down to $29. I'd love to work with you. I'd love to help you. Reach out to me. Let me help you get those emotions under control so we can think clearly as we ride this big wave. In the meantime, guys, I'm Shelly Jo with Shelly Jo Hypno Aminos. I am the amino acid lady and hypnotherapist. Keep smiling, guys. Love you. Bye.